So, Rob, let's just touch base on something else. And I know we both see it a lot as well when we're out spending time with communities, but it's that issue of people saying it's not that bad for them, what's happened, and it's not that bad for them because there's someone else worse off, doing it tougher, doing it harder, had more loss. Could we just unpack that and work to understand what that is?
This is a very predictable feature of emergency experience. It's been actually observed and recorded since the 1960s. And back in those days, they coined a term for it. They called it relative deprivation. And what they found was that people tend to compare their impact with the most severe impact they're aware of in the environment. They kind of benchmark themselves against that. And I see my losses relative to somebody else's losses. Actually, my losses are my losses.
Yeah.
And my recovery is about my losses. And if I don't give myself full credit for whatever they are, some of them will be insubstantial. They won't be physical. They'll be emotional. And if I don't feel I can participate, then I'm probably going to have a very bad outcome. Yeah. So, it's a very important thing that people get away from this notion that use of the recovery resources is a mark of my own failings. No, these are not charity. These are entitlements because what's paying for them in taxes. So you can ask the person, if you've ever paid taxes, this is your money now, it's been put aside, coming back to you. Yeah. It's an entitlement. If you've got the qualification to get the assistance, it's yours. Yeah. So we know that the ability to engage in the community, whatever your role, in whatever your effects, means not only you'll get something, you'll contribute. You'll contribute enormously.
There's two things here. One, I remember a story you told me once, I think quite a few years ago, about someone in a community session who was, becoming visibly upset, maybe a bit emotional in the audience. And then in talking to her afterwards, she explained to you that she hadn't lost her home, or her home hadn't been destroyed by the floodwaters. But she had a shed in the backyard down the bottom, and that had been completely inundated with water and I think washed away. And I remember you saying to me, when she explained to you her story, which was in the context of, it wasn't that bad for me, I haven't lost my home, it turned out that all of the really important things that her parents had left her when they died were in that shed.
That's right.
They'd all been washed away. And she didn't in that moment recognise the significance and the importance of those things. She was just focused on her house and whether she hadn't, lost it or not, or whether it had been destroyed or not. And so then, what we see happening is when people don't recognise the importance of this issue, it can be a blocker or prevent them from seeking the support and help they need.
That's right.
And then there's the snowballing effect. It sort of always gathers momentum and it comes out at some point further down the track anyway.
In fact, her mother had died, I think, a few weeks before the flood. And so they'd brought all the heirlooms and effects that belonged to her history and her childhood and so on. They were all in the shed. They hadn't had a chance to do anything with them yet, and they were gone. So, that's a very different loss to someone who's maybe had a new house full of well-insured furniture.
Absolutely.
There's no emotional attachment yet.
Absolutely.
So this shows this uniqueness of each person's loss is their loss. Yeah. And the more we can convey that in the community, the better we can marshal that support. And one way of doing that is for people to tell stories. And then suddenly someone says, wow, you're actually worse off than me.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.